Hello, it's Philippa at 4D Human Being, and welcome to video 4 in our series of how we can cope in a curveball, or indeed in a crisis. So today we're going to talk about communication. How can we communicate in challenging times? And communication for us at 4D Human Being is important all the time, and in times of difficulty, in times of challenge, in change, in crisis, communication is even more important, and that's both personally and professionally. So you'll already have noticed how things that have been communicated to you have landed, how messages feel, whether they're clear to you, whether the language is clear, or whether or not actually you're confused about what a government or a local authority or a particular company actually mean. And also you'll be really aware of how those pieces of communication make you feel. So you may have had a letter from a company, like I know that River Island, for example, sent one out, and I know that there are lots of companies doing this at the moment, where they're sending emails with really kind of warm, people-orientated messages around what they're doing to support people at this time and how much they're customer-focused, and letting you know what's going on for them and what you can do to either access their services or to press pause for a while. So there's a lot of communication going on, and actually I would offer, and we would offer at 4D, that in some ways you can't over communicate at this time. That when terrible things happen, like if there's a large kind of crisis like a plane crash, you'll have seen on the news, families get so frustrated and anxious when there's no communication. We're not being told what to do, we're not being told what's going on. So communication, and if anything, over communicating or over connecting, is critical. And it's really important that the tone of those messages and the clarity of those messages are really, really good, and that we're good communicators, particularly if you're in a position of leadership and you're managing teams or employees. And also, you know, at home, how are we communicating to each other at this time? You know, if it's not clear that somebody needs a space for a call at a certain time, then there's going to be irritation, there's going to be problems around that time in the day because it wasn't communicated, or it wasn't communicated in a way that landed and was clear for that person. So we really, really need to get good at communication. So we're going to look at 4 things today. One is an engine. We're going to think about the engine, from where your communication is coming from. The second one is energy, the energy that we use to communicate and the impact that that has. The third one is around intention. So what kind of feeling, what kind of intention do we have when we communicate? Because that is going to totally change the messaging. And fourthly, we're going to look at clarity, because it's all very well having a wonderful message and a wonderful intention, but if your communication is kind of mushy and unclear, then no one is going to read it or listen to it. So firstly, let's talk about your engine, and we can think about kind of Eastern meets Western philosophy when we think about your engine. We can think about where we're communicating from, kind of in ourselves, if you like. And this is a really different way to think about communication and how you communicate. So you can think about communicating from your kind of power center, if you like, your place of certainty. You can think about communicating from your heart, and you can think about communicating from your head. Now, none of these are good or bad. When we talk about power, we're not talking about power over, we're talking about power to, like I'm confident and I'm powerful and I can really make something happen, I can really create change. With heart, obviously we're much more about feeling, wondering what's going on with the other person, communicating from the heart in terms of feeling into what might be needed or going on for that person emotionally. And then of course head, what needs to happen more rationally, more pragmatically, solutions, problem solving, strategies. And those will all feel very different. So we need to be clear either where we want to come from in our engine, if you like, or perhaps even more importantly, how we can integrate the 3 of them. So our first call out to you would be to think about, where do you tend to communicate from? Do you tend to communicate from a place of power? Right, I've got this, I know this is happening, I'm sure that I can make this happen, this is what needs to be done, I've got this. Do you tend to communicate from a place of heart? I just want to let you know we're really thinking about you. We're really holding you in mind and in heart, and we know that this is tough and that you're really being empathetic. Or do you tend, which a lot of us do, to communicate from the head, which is more about the rational problem solving? And I can fix this, here's an idea, here's a thing to do. So think about already, where's your default and where might you like to dial up so that you get more of a balance, more of an integration. Yes, I've got certainty. Yes, I can help you solve your problem. And I can really feel my way in to what might be going on for you. And I think there's been some amazing communication from some organisations from the heart that's also really clear, that's also really practical. And we feel like people, not just consumers. And that's really, really important. And also, of course, for your family. Yes, we can communicate around getting organised. And can we try to communicate a bit more as well from the heart? There's that woodpecker again. Can we communicate a bit more from the heart around, I know that that room's not necessarily the best for you. It would really mean a lot to me if, just for this one call that you could take it there. And that would be, really appreciated by me. And I really recognise your generosity in doing that. Can we really kind of put some heart and appreciation in our communication? So that's the first one. The second one is around energy. Now, difficult times, our energy can of course be sapped and we can feel sometimes a bit de-energized. So actually we need to think about the energy that we're using to communicate. And this is particularly true for those of us now working from home and working remotely. When we're working on camera, when we're dealing with tech, cameras and tech really suck our energy. So we need to think about dialing our energy up. And at 4D Human Being, we are obsessed with energy, and particularly when we're working online or virtually. So if you're sitting in your home and you think that you're communicating at a kind of energy level, let's say 7, if you're working with tech, and that's on a scale of 1 to 10, so 1 is very low energy, 10 is very high energy. If you think you're communicating from an energy level 7, that might not be what people are receiving on the other end of the virtual call. So you might want to think about dialing it up a little bit. And equally at home, think about, is your energy too much sometimes because we're in a confined space and actually sometimes we need to dial it down, or do we need to dial it up a bit and put some energy back in the space to give people a little bit more battery power, give them a little bit of a kind of motivation. So really think about your energy on a scale of 1 to 10. But even if you're feeling a bit depleted, you can consciously think, I'm just going to dial it up a little bit because I really need to communicate with this person. I need them to hear me and for this to make an impact. So number 3 is your intention, and we are pretty obsessed with intention at 4D Human Being as well. So when we go on a call, when we're communicating, when we're writing an email, writing a letter, whatever it is, or doing a podcast or a video, what is our intention? And so many people say to us, well, I'm just informing people, I'm giving them some information. Yes, and they will feel something. And if you don't consciously choose how you want to make them feel, then they will fill that space in for you. So they might feel kind of disengaged, or they might feel bored, or they might feel that it's just a bit dry, or they might feel sort of like a school pupil, they're just sort of being told things, but they will feel something. So set your intention, put a word in your head and decide how you want them to feel. I want them to feel hopeful. I want them to feel excited. My intention is that they feel reassured. My wish here is that they feel really supported. And as soon as you make that conscious decision of how you want that piece of communication, that conversation, that email, that call, how you want it to land, then they will start to feel that. You can change the field, you can change the atmosphere of a call or of an email if you consciously decide to do it. But as I say, if you don't, then it will just come out in a default way. So that's around your intention. Change the emotional field. Make a decision when you get on your next call, pick up the phone. What do I want them to feel? And then the final one is around clarity. And again, as I said, it's all very well having a great piece of communication, a great piece of information, but if it's not clear, then it's really unhelpful. So we like to think about the ABC of communication at 4D Human Being. A, get their attention, grab them. Why should they listen to you? B, benefit, tell them the benefit. Why should they listen to you? What's important about this information? C, tell them your core message. what's the main thing that you want them to know? D, give them a bit of detail that they might need to know about it. And E, what's your expectation? What do you expect from them? What do you want them to do, think or feel after you've spoken to them? Now, this sounds quite like something that you might use at work or in a presentation, and it really works for a quick message over a team call or a team email, and it even works if you're dealing with family members. Get their attention, tell them why it's going to be really good for them to listen to you, the thing you've got to say. We're all going to be much happier if you listen to what I've got to say, and the day is going to be even better. Then tell them I've got a schedule about who's working in what room. So, for example, John, you're going to be working in the study between 10 and 5, and little Jilly, you're going to be in the playroom between 5 and 6. So tell them a little bit of detail about what's going on, and we'll all have lunch at 1 o'clock. And then expectation. What would you like them to do? So can you make sure you check the schedule so that we all know where we are, and just maybe, tick it off when you've done that hour. So that's a kind of home example, but you can see how you can also use that at work. So your A, B, C, D, E of communication, get clear, get your clarity. So that's a little bit about how to communicate through difficult times. We are uncertain, we feel unsafe at times, we feel that the rug has been pulled, we're feeling insecure. We can use communication to help us feel a little bit more solid. The way that somebody communicates to you and the way that you communicate to them will change their state. If you think about when you listen to people talking, if someone sort of talks to you about like this, and I think it'll be fine, you don't feel that it will be fine. Whereas if they communicate to you with a different intention, listen, we're going to work this out, then they will feel differently. So it's in your hands. How you communicate at this time will really, really have an impact on how you will manage yourself at this time, and how you'll really help other people manage themselves as well. So communication is key in a crisis. So thank you very much. We hope you can try out some of these tools and techniques, and we wish you and your loved ones and all those around you happiness, safety and health in the coming weeks. And you can find out more about us at www.4dhumanbeing for podcasts, videos, articles and all kinds of things that we hope will help support you. Take care.